Hello, everybody, and happy Thursday. Can you believe it's Thursday already? I don't know where the days go. Tonight, we are working with the Campology stamp set, and I'm going to try to keep it above this shadow. My light is over here, over top, and it's casting the shadow from my camera. I just don't know how to fix it. So, okay. So this is what we're going to work on, and I created these 3 cards. A little bit simple, a little bit more involved. This one is just layers and embossing, and the light is really bright, but it does have a blue background, and it is yellow within the inside of the lantern. Hi, Dew. Hi, Dawn. Hi, Karen. And the inside, I just added the fern. Now, the fern is from, let's see, the Nature's Prints. And I used the fern on the front, too, to match the fern embossing folder. Then on this card, I did some blending. I stamped, and the card is flat except for the lantern. And I masked the tent so I could get those trees behind the tent. Hi, Elizabeth. And then for the third card, we did some blending and a reflection in some water. Okay. Bill is okay. He still has been having little bouts of vertigo, and really no answers, of course, from his hospital stay. Like I had mentioned, his heart enzymes were really, really elevated. They should be 22. They measure it in NG-L, and it should be 22 for men, and his were 1700. So we have no idea why they were so high. The doctors aren't really sure why they were so high. And the vertigo is just, thanks, Susan. So the vertigo, it is something that he's been suffering with. He had a really bad attack 6 years ago, and now they're starting again. So hopefully they'll go away. So for now, let's start with this card. I think tonight's cards are perfect for the men in our life, speaking of Bill. And I'm using Crumb Cake, Night of Navy, and Soft Suede. Weird colors, right? But they seem to go together pretty well. So we're going to start with our basic card base, 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. And then I am going to add a layer of crumb cake that is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. But before I adhere this to the front of the card, I'm going to adhere a piece of soft suede, and this is 4 1/8 by 2 7/8. And we're going to adhere this to the layer so I could wrap a piece of ribbon to hide this line here. We just want to cover that up. So I decided to use let's see, the embroidered ribbon. All right, so we're going to glue this down to the front. So I hope everybody's doing good. I've been trying to play catch up. just a day or so that I don't do my normal routine. And boy, I just get so far behind. It's crazy. So that's what I've been doing, playing catch up. Although I did actually get my craft room cleaned. Yeah, I hate doctors too. Hey Margaret, how are you, honey? Hey Karen. But um I like I said, I ended up getting my craft room clean, and I bought new shelving units and a new chair and really, really cleaned. And ended up throwing my back out. So I've been struggling with my back, and I just have to make sure I don't work and overdo it like I did that day. I was moving furniture, and so I just have to be careful. But it's nice and clean. It's amazing how your attitude changes when your room is clean. Just too much clutter. So I do have, and I think everybody saw my poll in the room from the other day. I have lots and lots of embellishments and paper from when I used to be on different design teams. And now that I'm working with Stampin' Up! Products, I have not used any of the embellishments that I have. Most of them are brand new. I did not see your name at first. I do now, Karen. I figured you did. I figured. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make up some boxes of embellishments and paper, and I'm going to use a priority mailbox, the smaller one, and I will offer them out. I don't know how many I'll have because I haven't packaged them yet. And if you're willing to pay the postage, I am willing to send them to you for at no charge other than your shipping. So just watch the group for the post when I post that out. All right. So like I said, we use the crumb cake and the soft suede. Now I'm going to grab some Night of Navy. And this is 2 1/4 by 4 3/4. And then I use the gingham embossing folder on the soft suede, and this is 2 1/8 by 4 5/8. Yeah, Karen, I can see your name now. I think when you first popped in, your name was not attached, but now it is. All right, so I'm just adhering this together, giving the soft suede a nice frame, and now we're going to pop this up onto the front of the card. Yesterday I got a lot of my work done, and then I was mesmerized by the television and the Hurricane Ian coverage. What a shame. Those poor people in Florida. It's heartbreaking. My sister lives in the Panhandle, and she had started to prepare because they weren't sure where it was going to go, and she got rain. That was about it. But what a devastating storm. And now it's a hurricane again, and it's headed towards the Carolinas. Crazy. All right, so now we're going to grab another Night of Navy. And this is 2 by 3 3/4. And this is 1 7/8 by 3 5/8. And again, we're just going to layer this up. So this card, I mean, it's not simple. It's an easy card. And I'm just thinking, I did forget to, I'll have to cut it out really quick. I forgot to cut out a lantern. I was going to do it ahead of time so you guys didn't have to sit here and watch me fussy cut. All right, so for this layer, I do want it popped up, but I'm going to adhere it to this layer. So I need dimensionals on the right half, so it'll lay evenly. So let's get these papers off. And then we're going to add glue to this half. And we are going to put this on, and I'm going to put it up towards the top a little bit. So I'm just going to make sure that's on there straight. And that looks pretty good. Okay. Madalena, I hope I said that right. Hello, hello. All right. So there we have the base of our card coming together. Now I'm going to add an additional Night of Navy, and this is 2 1/4 by 3 1/2, and you don't have to worry about the dimensions. I will have a PDF tomorrow for you. It probably will not be posted until the afternoon because we have a doctor's appointment in the morning. So I'll get as much done as I can, and then I'll get it. I'm not going to promise it in the morning because I know I will not get it finished in time because our appointment is at 8:45, and that means I have to leave here at least by 7:45. All right, so we're going to pop this up, and I am going to center it in on the card. And that looks about, I'm going to move it over to the left just a little bit. Okay, so there's our layers for the front of our card. On our basic white layer, this is where we're going to do our stamping. So it's 2 1/8 by 3 3/8. We're just going to move that out of the way. And I am going to grab a piece of scrap paper. Thank you for sharing. Oh, was it nice there today, Margaret? You know, to be honest, I didn't even get outside today. I had some work to do in the house, and because I'm so behind, I'm trying to catch up on everything that needs to be done, and I'm trying to prepare for the Abigail Ruse event, and I had to make today's cards. Like I said, I have been so far behind. So here is the lantern stamp, and we're going to use Memento, and we're just going to ink this up, and I'm going to turn it sideways so I can hopefully get this stamp just about in the center of this layer and give it a good stamp. And look at that, I got it right in the center there. Let's do this one again. we go. That's better. All right. So we're going to have to let that dry for a second or two. Now I did grab the fern, and I'm just going to clean this off a little bit. From the Nature's Prints. And when I did make the card this morning, I have to say I messed up the fern 3 times. How crazy is that? You know me, I like to rock that stamp, and I do it every time. Okay, so now that we have our image stamped, I am going to grab my Night of Navy stamp pad. And I'm just going to go around the outer edges of this image so it looks like it is nighttime out. And we're just going to grab some color and blend it in. Now when you do blend, you don't want to do what I did over here. You want to make sure you start off your image and then pull the brush onto your image, because it blends much nicer, as you can see on that side. But I'm not going to worry about it. All right, so we have the outer edge of the image. Then I'm going to grab, and I didn't even grab a yellow because I was using the ink that was already on my brush. But I'm going to grab some Daffodil Delight and just ink it up a little bit. And I'm just going to get this on the inside of this lantern, so it looks like a little bit of a glow. Okay, very easy. Then I'm just going to grab my light Poppy Parade. Now these stamps are awesome because it has the shading in here already. So all we have to do is use one color. The only thing you have to be careful of is the small spaces to color. So all we have to do is add our color. And I didn't color everything. I just wanted to get certain aspects of the lantern. I know Coleman lanterns usually are green, aren't they? But I think they come in red. I actually have one that's black. All right, so we just want to color this in. I'm going to go around here. So just really quick and easy. And that's it. That's all I want to do with the lantern. Don't want to color. Hey, Kathy, how are you? You got your yard mowed. Oh, my goodness, Margaret. Good for you. That's what I need to do. Haven't gotten out there yet. All right, so now I'm going to grab some Mossy Meadow. And this is the part where I have messed up several times. So let's see what we can do here. And I am just going to stamp. Oh, I didn't mess it up. Shouldn't say anything. And then I'm just going to do one more at the top, just so it looks like it's hanging from a branch. It's the only reason. I am doing well, Kathy. Thank you for asking. I've been wearing myself out, but I guess that's always a good thing. All right, so let's pull our card back in. And now we can adhere this. And you see that's where I made my mess. We're just going to adhere this right to this center piece. Okay. Now let's grab, what did I do with it? We're going to grab that double oval punch. Here it is. I was using it. And we're going to grab a scrap of Night of Navy. And then I just have to get a scrap of basic white. And we're going to stamp a Night of Navy scallop. And then we're going to stamp in Night of Navy. Let's pull our Night of Navy out. You brighten my path. It is the perfect sentiment for the lantern. So we're just going to ink it up and stamp. Just make sure it's dry and center it. And punch it out. My ink pad didn't explode. What, my Night of Navy? I don't know, dude. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I think sometimes if you don't, and we're just going to layer this down. Sometimes I think with your stamp pads, I store mine like this all the time. I don't put them on their edges, and I think temperature change is big with your stamp pads. All right, now I'm just going to grab some smaller dimensionals, and again, I want it to be the same level with this piece right here. So I'm just going to add my dimensionals to the bottom of this piece because we want it to stay level. And then I'm going to add my glue to the top of this piece. And the reason I wanted to add this is just to cover up this shadow down here because our lantern is hanging in a tree. It's not sitting on a table. And we're just going to lay that down right there. And that's the front of our card. Easy peasy, right? Nice and quick. Now for the inside, I think I showed you. All I did was add some fern to the top. So we're walking under a canopy of fern. So let's just grab that fern stamp again and our mossy meadow. And we're just going to create a canopy of fern. So the two on the outside, I'm going to have them hang down longer. And then I'm going to do one in the center. And then I just want the tips just to make a little canopy. Let's get some of that ink off. Get rid of this layer. This is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, 5 1/4 by 4. And let's just add our seal. And we can layer this down. And I did do it again. I did this to my other layer too. I think I made it 5 1/2 instead of 5 1/4. So give me a second to trim this down. All right. I did that on my other card today too. I don't know what I was thinking. All right. So now we can just add our glue and tuck this on the inside of the card. And there's card number 1. Just gonna put that aside. So I hope you like it. Perfect masculine card. And not that hard, right? Pretty simple. So now let's go to our second card. We'll do this one next. And I'm going to pull out my pieces. Now this one has some fussy cutting, and I'm sorry I did not do it ahead of time. So we have our crumb cake, 11 by 4 1/4, and it's scored at 5 1/2. Then we have a layer of soft suede, and let's just check to make sure what this one is. It's 5 1/4 by 4. That's going to lay right on the front of the card. Then we have our Night of Navy, 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. Right. So let's layer these together. Then we'll have the front of our card. Just wanted to make sure how I put that twine on so I wouldn't forget. But it's just wrapped around the other layer. All right, so let's add this to the front of our card. All right, so now we're ready for our stamping. Thanks, Karen. Hi, Linda. So we have our basic white layer, and this is 3 3/4 by 5. And if you're just joining, I will have a PDF tomorrow. It'll be later in the afternoon, because we have an appointment tomorrow. All right, so we're going to get our scrap, and we have our basic white layer. And then I'm going to pull in my tent. Now, just so you know, when you want to put things, when you want to layer your images, whatever is going to be on the front of your card, or whatever you want to be the closest, that is what you have to stamp first. So you'll notice that my tent is in front of the trees. That's because I stamped my tent first. So we're going to pull in our memento. And I'm going to move this up so I'm outside of that shadow. And we're going to ink up our stamp. And we are going to stamp this Let's do it right about here. So there's our tent, all alone in the middle of this basic white. So the next thing we want to do is I stamped the image on a piece of masking paper. Stampin' Up! Has it in sheets. I have a roll that I bought years ago. And what I would do is take a piece, I don't cut it, I rip it, lay it on a piece of cardstock, and then stamp your image, and then fussy cut it. When I fussy cut this tent, I cut it right on the line. So when I lay it down, it will cover the tent, but will also have a little bit of the line sticking out. So when I do stamp, the stamp will reach right up to the tent. Okay. Now that we have our tent down, let's blend some color. And we're going to start with some Night of Navy. I'm going to just get this out of the way for now. And we're going to add our sky. So again, we want to start off and blend it on. You don't want to get it as dark as can be on your first try. You want to add your color layer by layer. And I'm going around the outside with the dark. I'm not really pressing very hard. I'm just laying down layers of color. And I want it to be, at least look like a night sky. So I'm just going to keep layering on some color until I get it where I think that's where I want it. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Then I am going to grab some balmy blue, and we're going to fill in. Before I do the balmy blue, I am just going to grab some fresh freesia. And our little scene, the fresh freesia is going to just make it look like the sun is starting to come up. So let's add some of this purple, or the fresh freesia, right at the horizon line. And I want to get this color in here. And this is a really light color, so you have to just keep going over it and over it, because we want to just get a nice horizon line there. Then we're going to grab our blue again, and this is the balmy blue, and we're just going to fill in this center with the lighter blue. I'm just going to go over the whole sky. Just get a nice blend. Well, let me see if I can get Iggy in. I don't know if he'll come. You coming? Come on. He was out there talking to me. All right, now that we have our sky in, let's grab some greens. And we're going to grab our mossy meadow. And we're also going to grab some old olive. And I still have the mask on my tent. And we are going to add some grass. So let's get some grass in here. I want to get it so we have a nice light area in the center. There must be a spot on the paper. All right, so we have our old olive. We can always go back and darken it up, but I am going to grab some mossy meadow, and we're going to go on the outside, across the bottom, and then up this side. I'm just going to go across here. I want to get right under that tent so it looks green. All right, now I know it looks messy because the tent still has a mask on it. So I'm just going to grab some old olive and we're going to blend this out a little bit. So now it looks like we have our sunrise. I'm just going to grab a little bit more of the fresh freesia. We're going to just go right along this horizon. Okay. My mask is coming up just a little there. So let's turn this over so at least we have a nice clean spot. Now we're going to put in our trees. So we're going to grab some mossy meadow. And our trees. Okay. And we are going to add them on each side of the tent. The ones to the left, I'm going to put a little lower. And what I'm going to do is we're going to leave that down. So let's ink it up good, and we're going to put our trees right about here. Now for the other side, we're going to ink it up again, and I want them to be behind this tent. So I am going to stamp right over the tent. I'm going to close this up so I don't make a mess and lift it up. So now we have our trees stamped. And I'm just going to grab my stamping right marker here. So now that our trees are stamped, I can take my mask off. And now my tent is sitting in and behind our trees, in front of these trees, behind these trees. And I'm just going to take a soft suede Stampin' Right marker, and I'm using the writing side, and I am just going to add some color to these trunks. Just real quick and easy, nothing fancy. We just want to add some brown color to these trunks. Okay. So we have a little bit of a sunrise coming up, and you can't see it that now you can. You can see right along the horizon here. It looks like the sun is coming up. So we are going to grab some pumpkin pie and daffodil delight. Let's see. Light daffodil delight. And we are going to add our shadows with the pumpkin. And this section here, we're going to make it look like they have lights on in this tent. And then we're just going to fill it in with daffodil delight. Nothing fancy. So it looks like they have some light happening in there. I am going to grab my dark crumb cake. I'm just going to darken up this side of the tent. And then I'm going to grab my light mossy meadow. And I'm just going to add some darkness around the tent and these grasses and under the trees. Just gives it a little bit more depth. Okay, so now we have our image colored and stamped. Let's grab our happy trails, and we're going to stamp it in the mossy meadow. Oops, almost put my finger in it. And I'm just going to add it right here. Let's get rid of these brushes. And I am going to pull in a scrap piece, my memento, and the lantern. Now, I'm really sorry I forgot to fussy cut this out. It just completely slipped my mind. So, let's just quick fussy cut. And I am actually going to cut this bottom shadow out. And when I cut, I'm going to cut as close as I can to the stamped image. I really don't want too much of the white showing. And I'm also going to cut off that handle. So we're just going to fussy cut this. And I hate fussy cutting when I'm on camera. It seems like I just can't fussy cut good. When I'm by myself, I don't care. So again, I am sorry I didn't do it ahead of time. So just so everybody knows, I have been working on the Abigail Rose. The PDFs are available. If you would like one, just let me know. All right, now that we have this cut out, again, we're going to, where did it fell? Grab the Daffodil Delight, and we're going to actually color in the center. I'm going over the whole image, and we're going to grab that Poppy Parade again, and we're going to just color it like we did the other one. Although these cards are fairly different, I wanted to keep some elements of it the same so it does look like a set. So we're just going to color this in quick. And again, these are great images to color because the shadows are already there for you. So if you use one color, you have light and dark areas using just one marker. Let's get this piece under here. Okay. Oops. Look at that. Forgot that little spot. All right. So there's our lantern. Let's pull our piece back in. And I'm actually going to grab some twine. And believe it or not, we're going to wrap this. And let's see. We're going to go around this twice. And then we're going to even it out. You know me, I don't like wrapping and tying bows. So let's just give that a little snip. And we're going to tie this in a bow. Now, I don't mind tying twine too much because I can tie it and knot it. Oops. And give it a good pull. So then we have our twine on here. And then I can tie my bow. But let's get this piece. You know, when it gets tangled, you want to straighten it out and tie your bow. Now, so our little loops don't stay tangled, just tighten up that bow and get your tails at the bottom. Fix your loop and then hold the knot and then pull the tail and then pull the tail, and it will make sure that your loops stay and they don't twist. So we'll just trim these off. So we have our bow. Let's grab our lantern. And we're going to add a dimensional to the top and to the bottom because we're going to go over top of the twine that we just put on. And we're just going to lay this right about here. Oops, make sure it's on there straight. All right, now we can pull in our card base. And I'm actually going to grab my seal and use that just in case the glue shows through. And just lay this on the front of the card. Now, the sun is coming up, but there are still stars in the sky. So we're just going to take a piece of scrap and the Whisper White pigment ink. And I'm just going to put a little dab of the pigment ink on my scrap. This is really, really thick. And I'm just going to grab a pencil and put the tip in. And we are going to just dot some stars. Get some behind these trees. All right, so now we have a few little stars in the sky. Everybody's waking up to start their day. Let's grab the inside of this card. Again, Night of Navy, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. Basic white, 5 1/4 by 4. And on this card, we're going to introduce those trees again. So we have our tree stamp here. We're going to use our mossy meadow. And we're going to ink up our stamp. And bring some of those trees to the inside. Lots of scrap paper today, huh? Let's grab some seal. Oops. And layer this together. I'm going to just be careful to make sure my little stars are actually dry. So we'll just carefully open that up. Add my glue. Put it in the center of the card. All right, so there's card number 2. A little bit more involved, but it's still really pretty. All right, it looks like the tint on this one is a little higher. I put it down a little bit on this one. Oh, the stars. I used the Whisper White pigment ink that you can buy. Hey, Betty, how are you? Hi, Sheila, Paula. You guys snuck in on me. It's the Whisper White pigment ink and a pencil. And I just dipped it in the pencil and then dipped it onto the card to give us our stars. And as it dries, they do get a little lighter. They don't look as bright as they do here, but the light tonight for some reason is really bright. Gonna have to adjust my camera again. Yes, it is a perfect card for a gentleman, right, Margaret? Ah, thanks, Elizabeth. All right, last card. We're going to work on a reflection. And again, it's a card that is a little bit more for an advanced stamper, but it's a lot of fun. So we have our crumb cake again, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. Then I have let me just make sure I have the right layers here, and I don't. So we have soft suede, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And we have Night of Navy, and I think this is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. And I just want to make sure I get the right white. Basic white is 3 3/4 by 5. So let's just layer our front again so you can see a pattern here with our layers. So they're all pretty basic card bases. So you could whip them out pretty quickly. So there's the front of our card. Just make sure it's on here even. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so there's our card base, ready to go. Let's grab our basic white. And again, we're going to use another sheet. And what we're going to do this time is we're going to grab our trees again. And let me just clean this stamp off. We don't want to make a stamping error. Hey, Debbie, thank you. Southwest Michigan, how's your weather? Hey, Pam, how are you, honey? I hope you're doing well. All right, so we have our nice clean stamp, and we're going to use our Mossy Meadow. And we are going to ink this up really good. Make sure it has ink all over it. I'm just going to make sure I get that center. And we're going to stamp this so the top of the tree, and I want to make sure it's on here straight, is right at the top of this layer. Okay, so there's our trees. I'm going to grab that. Did I put it away? Yep. I'm going to grab my soft suede again, and we're just going to add some color to these tree trunks. Just really quick. Okay. So now we have our image. It's nice and dark. We have our tree trunks. I want to make sure that this is dry so we can add our color. We want to add our background. So let's grab, let's see, did I pull it out? I did not. Let me just grab my crumb cake. I'm just going to grab some crumb cake. And I'm just going to grab one of our daubers. And we're going to add some of the brown right along the tree line, just like that. Oh, medicine time in the household. Now let's grab, we're going to work with our balmy blue. Just want to make sure that's dry, and it seems to be. So lots of blending tonight. So we're going to use our balmy blue, and we're going to add our sky. We're going to go right over these trees. You can add your sky first. You can add your sky second. Either way, it doesn't really matter. We're going to go over this dirt area. And let's just fill in this sky. And again, you can make this as dark or as light as you want. It doesn't have to be a completely filled in sky because the sky has clouds in it. So that's up to you. So we're just going to add some color to this sky. Just like that. And I'm just going to grab my green and I'm going to go right through the center here. I'm not going to add any more ink. Okay. Now let's grab our watercolors, colors for our water. And we're going to use Coastal Cabana and Mint Macaron. And this time I'm going to use a sponge. Whoops. And we're going to ink up our sponge. And we're going to go back and forth on the bottom. Because we don't want this actually to be blended really well. You want to have some movement in this water. Now grab some Coastal Cabana. We're going to use the same sponge. And we're going to add this to the bottom. Because we want that water, and again, it's so bright. But we want, let's see if I can shadow this a little bit. That doesn't really work. Wow, I can't believe how crazy bright it is tonight. So now we have our trees. It is blended blue. You can't really tell because it's so bright in here tonight. And then our water is a different. Oh, thanks, Stu. All right, so it's a little different. Now we can put our reflected trees in. So we're going to grab our mossy meadow again. I'm going to pull this aside for a second, and I'm going to pull in my silicone mat and our trees. And we're going to make sure that these trees really get inked up well. All right. And then we are going to stamp our silicone mat. We're going to get this out of the way. We're going to lift our stamp so we can see the trees. But now that's too dark. So we're going to just quick lay it down and push it against our scrap paper and lift it. And actually, we are going to use this again. Now, can you see the image? When I bring it down to my card, I can actually very barely see it, and I can match it up to the image on my card. We're going to lay it down. And now we just want to make sure we have this image and it's stamped really well. It'll be the reflection of those trees. So it looks like The water line has the reflected trees. Yes, it is. It is the silicone pad. All right. So now that our image is stamped, quick and easy, let's grab our twine again. And we're actually going to use this twine and we're going to separate the reflection and the trees. So I'm just going to quick put a knot, just like that. And again, tie a bow. I guess I should start practicing tying bows and wrapping a ribbon, huh? All right, so let's just pull, oops, and pull. I think it's time to cut my nails. That's what the problem is. All right, so let's just trim this off. Oh, I grabbed the wrong scissors. What did I do with them? I have so much stuff on my desk right now. I do have a designated pair of scissors for my ribbon. I don't know what I did with them. All right. So there is our, right here in front of my face. That's where they are. Now we're going to just grab some pieces of scrap. And we are going to grab our stamp, Enjoy Today. And I'm actually going to do it in Mossy Meadow. So we're just going to stamp that there. Let's add some glue. Oh wait, before we add glue, let's cut this. Now we can add some glue. Just gonna trim. Whoops. It just went rocking and rolling. Okay. So let's pull in our card front again. We'll let that dry for a second. Grab our seal. We can lay down our stamped image. And then for our sentiment, we are going to grab some dimensionals. And lay them down. It's so funny how quickly things disappear. And I'm just going to tuck this and put it right along that water line. Let's see if let me just scoot it down just a bit. There we go. All right. Again, actually, I did the coffee pot. I think what I'll do is just stamp the coffee pot instead of fussy cutting it, so you guys don't have to watch me fussy cut something else tonight. So let's just ink up this coffee pot. And want to make sure I get this on here straight. And again, it's perfect for coloring because we can use a light marker, and this is white, light smoky slate, and we can just quick color this in, and our shadows are already there. I am going to leave the bottom rim and the top rim of the coffee or tea, whichever you prefer. I am going to grab some bronze. I'm going to make mine coffee. And let's grab our Night of Navy. I always forget to flick my wrist so it breaks off evenly. Layer this down. Grab some glue. And lay it on the inside of our card. All right. So here we have 3 cards for the gentlemen in our lives. Each a little bit different, using the same stamp set. Aw, thanks, Debbie. Thanks, Elizabeth. Yeah, it's pretty good, right? I mean, it works perfectly. Thanks, Margaret. The silicone pad glue, always used to use the acetate sheets, and it just does not work as nicely as a silicone mat. Now, when you look for that silicone mat in the catalog, it is hiding. I mean, I actually couldn't find it in the new catalog, but it's usually hiding. And I should have checked before. I know it's in the tool area, and I did not see it in the new catalog. So I'm wondering, are they still available? Because I just don't see it. I'm going to have to look it up. Thank you, thank you, thank you, ladies. I'm glad you like them. So I'll be back on Saturday. I'm still nope, that's not it, is it? No, I don't see the silicone mat. Ah, yes, it is. It is on page 127 with the adhesives right here on page 127. And it's only $6.50. And it works awesome. It works much, much better than acetate. You're welcome, Kathy. All right, ladies, I'll see you on Saturday at 11 o'clock. We'll do something simple. So have a great night. Enjoy tomorrow. And I'll see you Saturday morning. Thanks for joining. Good night.